Hey everybody, today we are back ranking the second part of my top 50. This video is going to be my top 25 roller coasters, the best of the best, my favorite rides that I've ever ridden. And they're all elite rides in my opinion, so I'm super excited to rank them. Before we get into the rankings, if you guys enjoyed the last video and are excited to see how I'm going to rank these up, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are brand new and you want to see more roller coaster content. And also a few things just before we get into the video. We all have different opinions, so if you guys disagree with anything I say, that's fine, and you can let me know in the comments, let me know why. Just be respectful to me and to other people. We don't want to start fights or arguments or anything like that. And lastly, there may be some rides on this list that you may think are missing or that I just completely missed, like some amazing ride that should be up here, like Iron Gwazi or Velocicoaster, or something great that's not going to be here because I haven't ridden them. I still haven't been to a lot of good parks and ridden a lot of great rides out there. I've been to a lot of good parks and ridden a lot of great rides, but there are some that I still want to go to and haven't been to yet. So, yeah, with that out of the way, we're going to jump straight into the rankings. At number 25, we have Alpengeist at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This is my favorite B&M inverted roller coaster. It's 200 feet tall, it has a great drop, and it has some super huge, super fast, and intense elements. Of course, you have an Immelman, a vertical loop, a Cobra roll, a zero-G roll, and a corkscrew. And yeah, all of the elements on this ride are just taken at a rapid pace and have super good snap. And so I really like it. It's a super fun ride, my favorite invert. And on spot number 24, we're going to have Tatsu at Six Flags Magic Mountain at my home park. This is my favorite flying coaster. This ride is massive. The drop's only about 110 feet though, because it doesn't come all the way down to the ground. But this ride just stays super high up on the air, uses the terrain beautifully, has graceful elements, has intense elements, especially that super huge pretzel loop, the largest one in the world, where it picks up to its top speed and you just pull some mad G-forces. It's definitely my favorite version out there. And so yeah, Tatsu's going to be up here at spot number 24. And at 23, we have Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point, the original hypercoaster. Now, a lot of people either love or hate Magnum because the restraints are kind of hard, and so you do get some amazing airtime at the end, but it does come at the cost of a little bit of pain. I do not mind that, so I have Magnum up here in my top 25, and yeah, basically the first drop is pretty good, the first airtime hill is pretty good. You know, the turnaround is pretty jank, Aero made it, so what can you expect? But the whole run of bunny hills, all that triangle airtime at the end of the ride is just brutal, and when I went, I rode it in the magic seat, so I got to experience it to its fullest, and yeah, that is some brutal janky airtime, and I love it. Spot number 22, we have Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. This is a mock multi-launch, probably the best one out there, although I haven't really ridden many others. But yeah, the launches are not going to be the best part about this ride. They're not extremely powerful. The best part about this ride is the hang time that you get on the inversions and the ejector airtime that you're going to be getting throughout the ride. This airtime is brutal, and with the mock restraints that are super freeing, you just get to experience the full of it. So it's super fun, super enjoyable experience. Definitely recommend going out to Carowinds and giving this a ride. And at spot number 21, we have Cannibal at Lagoon in Utah. A lot of people haven't heard of this ride or haven't gotten to be able to go out and ride it. I am lucky, and I have ridden this ride. I actually rode it before I became a real enthusiast. I just happened to be in the area and we went to Lagoon. And yeah, when this ride came out, it used to be the steepest drop in the world. It is not anymore, but I still think it is an amazing drop. It's 200 feet tall. You have the elevator lift indoors, so it's nice and dark. And then you come in on yourself so much on that drop, like it's ridiculous, and there's only lap bars for the restraints, so you get some brutal airtime on that. And then the ride has some huge inversions. Then after you hit the mid-course brakes, you got the Lagoon roll, and that is 2 back-to-back Heartline rolls, and you get some brutal hang time on that as well. So overall, super fun ride with a good variety of forces, amazing airtime and hang time, good for spot 21. And at spot number 20, we have my favorite ride at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and that's going to be Pantheon, an Intamin Blitz coaster. This ride was way better than I expected. I didn't expect it to be anything crazy. I didn't expect it to be better than Alpengeist or the best ride at the park. The launches are not anything too special, anything too crazy, not too powerful. But the inversions all have good hang time and snap to them. The vertical spike gives you some good airtime, and of course the top hat and the outer banked hill. both give some amazing airtime. And also, through the launch, there is a little airtime moment, and when you're going through that, both forwards and backwards, you get some ridiculous ejector. So yeah, this ride is really well paced, really good airtime and hang time, and I really enjoy it. And of course, the great new end-to-end restraints as well. In spot number 19, we have Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. I finally got to ride my first Mach Extreme spinner this last year with Time Traveler, and it was just an insane experience. It wasn't as disorienting as I thought. Like, I wasn't confused during the ride of like, oh, where I am or what's happening. But I'm actually glad because I was able to understand what was happening and fully enjoy it. The drop out of the station is just ridiculous. You take that sideways because the cars spin themselves. And the launches, as I've said with all Machs, are not powerful. They're not the star of the show. The star of the show on this ride is all the airtime moments and all the inversions, because you never know which way you're facing. I rode this ride like 3 or 4 times when I was there, and each time was different. Sometimes you're backwards, sometimes you're sideways, sometimes you're forwards on each element, and the airtime and hang time feels wacky wherever you are, and I love it. So, great ride. Go out and ride it. Spot 18, we have Prowler at Worlds of Fun. This is an extremely underrated GCI wooden coaster, one of my favorites. The first drop delivers surprising airtime. This ride just has great pacing. It stays low to the ground the whole time. Just a bunch of great airtime moments, back to back to back, and great laterals, as all great GCIs have. This is actually my number 2 GCI on this list, and we will be getting to the number 1 soon. But for now, Prowler at spot 18, and we're moving on to spot 17, where we have Sky Rush at Hershey Park. Now, a lot of people hate on this ride and rank it really low, and a lot of people absolutely love this ride and have it in like their top 5. I'm sort of in the middle. It's not like super low on my list. 17 is still a good spot. I will say the restraints hinder it a bit. I'm not one of those people who hates the restraints on this ride though. They're actually very freeing in a sense, to where the only thing pinned down is kind of like your stomach, like right above your lap, and it's a very thin restraint. So your whole body is free during the ride to like feel the whole forces and just get tossed left and right, and it's absolutely insane. Of course, you do get a little stapled down by the end of the ride, and it can hurt a little bit. But no, that first drop is ridiculous. The airtime moments deliver some ejector, and the turns not only push you into your seat, but they toss you left and right. And if you sit on a wing seat where there's no floor, which is what I did, you just can't even hold on. There's nothing to hold on to. You just relentlessly get thrown left and right. And so, for my opinion, it's a super intense ride, super fun, only hindered by the restraints. So it's going to be here in the top 25 at spot 17. And at spot 16, we have Twisted Colossus, another ride at my home park, Magic Mountain. This ride is an underrated RMC, I would say now. When it first came out, it definitely was not underrated. But now a lot of people will say, oh, when it doesn't race, it's not as good as a ride. Or, oh, you know, like Iron Rattler's better, blah, blah, this and that is better. I still think this ride is an elite RMC. Definitely like top 5 RMCs, maybe like top 6 or 7. I don't know, I'll have to see. But still, great layout. You get 2 rides in one. So you get 2 RMC first drops, you get 2 good inversions, and a bunch of airtime moments. Super fun. Spot number 15, we have Diamondback at Kings Island. And yeah, many people consider this to be the best B&M hyper out there. I have one more ranked higher than it that we will be getting to soon. But still, Diamondback has a great first drop, a great complete layout with a lot of those parabolic hills that give sustained floater airtime, and it's just super smooth. I didn't notice a rattle that a lot of people talk about. It's super just fun ride. I mean, there's nothing too crazy about it. It's a B&M hyper, you know, it doesn't do anything too unique, just good airtime, good transitions. This ride does have a splashdown at the end, which is nice. And yeah, good ops as well because it's at Kings Island, so you won't be waiting in line too long for this, and I appreciate that too. And at number 14, we have Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. As I said in the last video, Jersey Devil and Wonder Woman at Magic Mountain completely missed my top 50. I think those single rails are just not really paced quite as well as these ones are. The smaller ones, these clones, they have Stunt Pilot and Wonder Woman and Railblazer. I haven't ridden Stunt Pilot yet, by the way. But Wonder Woman here at spot 14, the one at Fiesta, Texas, was a little bit more jarring than the other ones, just the transitions. I believe this was the first one to be built, so that does make sense, but still, super aggressive ride, super great ejector airtime, super snappy inversions and intense positives on all the turns, and just a super well-paced ride. It's hindered by the length. I feel like if these rides were maybe 20-30 seconds longer, they'd be a lot higher on this list, but still, an amazing ride, great experience, go ride it. And at 13, one spot higher, we have Railblazer. This is a clone of Wonder Woman. It's at California's Great America. The only reason I put this above Wonder Woman, it was a little smoother when I rode it at least, and I prefer the theming. It's unique, the color scheme is unique, and the trains are themed to ATVs and there's rock work. Wonder Woman is just the same copy and paste DC theming. Some people disagree with me and think the Wonder Woman theming is better, but that's just my opinion. So for the theming and for the smoothness reasons, Railblazers at 13, one spot higher. And at spot number 12, we have our first Giga Coaster on this list, and that is going to be Orion at Kings Island. Now, by no means, obviously, is this a bad ride being at spot 12. It's just the weakest Giga in my opinion, so that's why it's down here, outside of the top 10. But either way, it still has an amazing 300-foot first drop. I believe it's 84 degrees steep, so you get some great flow ejector airtime in the back, and you still get some good floater up front. Obviously, on the Airtime Hills, you get good airtime, and on the wave turn and on the turnaround, you get some good tilting in your seat, and you get a little bit of good positives on the pullout. Overall, I wish there was a little more airtime in the ride. I wish it was a little bit longer, a little bit better paced. Still a great ride, still one of the best rides at Kings Island. But for spot number 11, we have the best ride at Kings Island. That is going to be Mystic Timbers, which is also my number one GCI wooden coaster. This ride is just perfect to me. Like, you have great theming in the station and in the ride. You have an amazing first drop, as all GCIs do. And then you have an out and back wooden coaster, out into the woods, just absolute beautiful scenery with trees everywhere. You have airtime moments left and right. You have some sort of head choppers in the turnaround in that wooden structure you go to. And it's just an amazing complete ride with a great layout. I love it a lot. Spot number 10 is going to be my favorite B&M Hyper, and that is Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. Before I went here, I basically had no clue about this ride. I knew it existed, but I did not know that it is as good as it is. Because, unfortunately, a lot of people don't talk about this ride when they should be. The airtime is not just your typical floater that you're going to be getting on most B&M Hypers. You actually get some crazy ejector airtime on this ride, especially in that back row. In the front, it's more sustained floater, very sustained, but I prefer the back just for that crazy ejector over the first drop, over each and every airtime hill, and you do have some great positives on the helix in the middle of the ride as well. So overall, it's just a complete layout with great airtime, great positives, and I really, really like it, and it's making it into the top 10. And at spot number 9, we have Lightning Rod at Dollywood. This is one of my favorite RMCs. The launch is super powerful and fun, and I haven't ridden it before they slowed it down, unfortunately, but even with me only experiencing the slowed down version, it's still here in the top 10, so I think that just speaks to how good it is. The airtime is ridiculous on that first drop and all the ejector moments, of course, and the quad down at the end of the ride is just legendary. You're just flying out of your seat the whole time, being thrown to your left and being thrown to your right, and yeah, this ride is just amazing. I wish it was a little longer, but still a great ride. Good to be in the top 10, and yeah, I love it a lot. And at spot number 8, we have another Giga. This is Millennium Force at Cedar Point. This was the original Giga Coaster, and wow, this ride is just a speed machine. That first drop feels like it lasts forever if you're in the back row. You get some amazing floater airtime, especially with those Intamin T-bar restraints, some of the best restraints out there. And all the turns, you just feel the speed of the ride. All the airtime hills, you get some good floater, and on all the overbanks, they're actually pretty intense, more intense than people give them credit for. I didn't gray out on this ride, but still, I could feel the forces. And yeah, Millennium Force is just a complete ride. It's super long, super fast, and super fun. And at spot number 7, we have my second favorite ride at Cedar Point. That's going to be Maverick. This ride just barely edges out Millennium Force for me because the airtime is a little bit stronger, and I prefer the pacing. Millennium Force is great, and a lot of people have it over Maverick. My opinion is Maverick is better. But yeah, that first drop beyond vertical gives some amazing ejector airtime in the back row. You get some amazing snap on all the turns and transitions. You get 2 fun inversions, not the highlight of the ride, but still enjoyable. And then an amazing second launch that gets you up to a pretty high speed before a crazy snap to the left, and some great stingle dives at the end. So overall, just a complete layout, a complete ride, super fun. Wish it was more reliable, but still an amazing ride here at spot 7. And at spot number 6, we have another Giga, Fury 325 at Carowinds. This ride is basically perfect. I wouldn't really change anything about it. It has an amazing first drop. It has an amazing set of turns. It has some amazing airtime moments. The profiling on all the turns and transitions is just snappy and amazing. Like, you get airtimes on the turns, I swear. You'll be snapping to the left and you'll just feel a pop out of your seat. And you're like, how did that happen? I don't know. It's Fury. But yeah, obviously the treble clef is an amazing element. You get some sideways airtime and dive into the tunnel. And overall, this ride's pacing is just perfect, super smooth. The only reason that it's not higher on this list is I feel like some of the rides higher up are just a little bit more insane than Fury. That's the thing about Fury. It's super fun, all these things, but it's also very graceful. It's a little intense, but it doesn't do anything insane. And I love rides that are just absolutely insane. So, we're getting to my top 5 now. And all of the rides in this top 5 are the best rides I've ridden. These rides are just crazy good. They're all insane. They're all intense, and I love them all. So I'm super excited to get into this. Let's do it. At number 5, we have Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This is my favorite Giga coaster because of what I was just explaining. This ride is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolute monster. You get some insane positive G-forces after the 300-foot drop, by the way. Most people don't even talk about that. Then you get the snip snaps in the middle of the ride, and some more positive forces along with that. And there's some airtime on this ride, too. Now, of course, I know if you guys watched the last video, I talked about Intamin soft straps, and these affect Maverick too, but not as much as Intimidator, because Intimidator was really built for some airtime moments. But yeah, those are going to be hindered by these stupid restraints that pin you down into your seat. At least they did for me. So that's why this ride can't even rank higher. Like, I feel like this ride could rank higher on my list if it weren't for those. But still a great ride. Still a great mixture of forces, from strong positive Gs to nice negative Gs, and still some nice snaps. So I love I-305. It's my favorite Giga. Here in my top 5 at spot number 5. And at spot 4, we have my favorite ride at my home park, Magic Mountain. My second favorite ride at any Six Flags park, it's X2. It is the last coaster aerodynamics ever built, the first ever 4th dimension coaster, and it is just absolutely ridiculous. That first drop is 200 feet tall and just gives you some ridiculous whip in the back, and then you barely flip onto your back right as you're coming down to the bottom. All the elements are disorienting in the best way. Like, I never feel uncomfortable on that ride. I always feel safe, but it still gives me a rush. Like, most rides do not give me a rush anymore because I've ridden 300 roller coasters, you know, so I've experienced a lot. But X2 is just ridiculous, and the strong G-forces and the flipping of the cars and all that is just a lot for me. And a lot of people complain about the end of the ride and the Raven turn and how rough it is. I actually really love the Raven turn because how intense it is, but yeah, it can get a bit rough. Just sit on the inside seat and hold your head back and be prepared for it, and you'll survive. And I can handle a rough coaster as long as it's good, and X2 is good. So yeah, X2 is going to be at spot number 4 for me. And at spot number 3, we have El Toro, my favorite wooden coaster, my favorite Six Flags coaster, my favorite ride at Six Flags Great Adventure. This is the greatest wooden coaster of all time. I haven't ridden the Voyage at Holiday World yet, so you know, I may change my mind. But for now, it's my favorite wooden coaster of all time. That first drop is basically an RMC first drop. You get ridiculous ejector airtime in the back seat. And oh my goodness, the camelbacks after just deliver some of the most insane ejector airtime moments out there. I rode this ride in the back seat every time, and I gotta tell you, I was flying out of my seat into my restraint, and it was just pure ejector airtime bliss. Now, after that first part of the ride, it does slow down a little bit. There are still some great airtime moments, though, on the Rolling Thunder Hill right before you do the little S-bends low to the ground, which are also super fun before you turn back to the station. But yeah, overall, it's not really a complete ride. Like, the beginning is really amazing, and the end is good. The middle's a little boring, but still, all the amazing parts are enough to put it here at spot number 3 on the list. And at spot number 2, we have Twisted Timbers. Now, I know a lot of people wouldn't rank this high, but for me, it's here at number 2. I think there are a few things that could make it better, such as being a little bit taller, a little bit longer, and having a traditional straight drop, just because I feel like the barrel down drop hinders it a bit. But this ride is still insane. It has 20 airtime moments. It has probably the best airtime I've ever experienced. I think that the airtime on this ride is higher quality than that on the number 1 ride on this list, but it's just too short. The 3 straight camelbacks after that first turnaround are all ridiculous, probably the strongest airtime I've ever felt on any ride. The outer banked hill halfway through is ridiculous, the inversions are great, and this ride is really well paced. Even when you hit the brakes, you're hauling, especially if you ride this ride after it's warmed up all day. So yeah, super amazing ride. As I was saying, with a few changes, it probably could be my number 1, but for my number 1 coaster, we have, and you probably all guessed it by now, you've probably heard me say it in another video, but we have Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. As I was saying, Twisted Timbers could have easily beat this ride if it was just taller, longer, better drop, but it's not. And so Steel Vengeance is at number 1, 200-foot vertical first drop. How can you beat that? You know, amazing ejector airtime throughout the entire ride, and in all different shapes or sizes too. It's not just the same thing over and over again. A lot of people say, oh, it's so repetitive. Like, no, I enjoyed each and every single moment of ejector airtime on Steel Vengeance. All the way from the huge camelback and the outer banked airtime hill to the run of 5 insane bunny hills at the end of the ride. All of it's amazing. The inversions are amazing. The way that it goes underneath the support structure is amazing. And I really wouldn't change anything about Steel Vengeance. It's a perfect ride. It's my favorite ride at Cedar Point. And as of right now, it is my favorite roller coaster that I've ever ridden. So yes, that is it, guys. I finally did it. I ranked out my top 50, completely done. I really appreciate you guys watching the video. If you guys have any ideas or videos you want to see in the future, let me know in the comments. And again, please, if you disagree with anything, also let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how you guys rank up your coasters or what you would change about my list. And yeah, that's just about it. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, do that as well. And I will see you guys in the next video.